The end is near.
Crab Tendo.
What is going on, guys? So today we have Babylon, the VST plugin that works in both Windows and Mac and every DAW. That name, I swear, I had to have some fun with the thumbnail. But I think that has to do with the fact that the price of it is $13. So, I mean, I guess that was the main thing that they could come up with. I don't know. WA Productions, fill me in on that because it's made by those guys. And if you know about Instascale and Instacord, then you know that Babylon is one of their follow-up cheaply priced VST plugins. So leave a comment below. Let's find out if it's good or not. Let's do this. The link's in the description box, and this is how Babylon looks like, but I'm gonna play it so you can hear it and see if this is worth your $13. Leave a comment below. Hey. So as you can see, this is just one of the tracks that I made. This is the second track that I made right here, and this is more of a traditional trap, whatever type track, but what I really want to show you is Babylon's diversity as far as its tones. Like this one sounds more video game-ish, and I'll explain why after the fact. So let's hear it. Hey.
Crab Tendo.
Yeah. Now we have Babylon in the flesh in front of us, and my personal opinion about the GUI is that it's pretty ugly, but at the same time it looks pretty cool too as well. I don't mind it having a GUI just being like this because that's the style of WA Productions, but I think it's pretty good. Nonetheless, you can change the GUI size. So you can change it to 100%. So if you have like a 4K monitor or something like that, you can have it as big as possible, very big, as you can see on my 1080p screen or resolution. And now I just brought it back, but there's other things about it I want to show you. So ugly GUI, why I say that? Well, the skins are pretty darn ugly. And you know, you have night, which is not that bad. I mean, it's pretty easy to understand. It makes it a little easier than the gray one, at least for me. And then you also have these two other skins as well, and that's where the ugliness just starts to kick in. I'm just saying, I'm sorry, that is just ugly as hell. It's hard to read like your parameters and stuff like that. So when you design a GUI, like have some colors like pink or purplish or something that would stand out or something of that order. But that's just me. I'm being picky. It does come with a lot of presets. As you can see, I'm just going to scroll down and do. Oh man, it comes with a lot of presets. So if you're like one of those people that really need presets and you want a $13 plugin, mind you, this plugin is called Babylon, and then $13, 13 representing chaos is what is the number of chaos. Other than that, WA Productions, what were you doing? What are y'all thinking over there? Other than that, it has a lot going for it. One thing I want to do now is I just want to go back into the GUI and switch it back to default because it's a little easier for you to understand this way. You can see it. So the first oscillator is right here. You have a total of 3 oscillators and they all share about the same parameters. Wee bit of difference in the third oscillator, as we'll get into that a little later. You have a ton of waveforms to choose from. So if you are a sound designer, then you will be in heaven. I promise you, because I've already made some sounds for this. So the default sound is a sine wave instead of a sawtooth, which is okay. And I'm just gonna go ahead and select a saw. So we have something, a bass form that we can work with here. And you have octave, which is a parameter. One thing I want to note is that you can double left click and reset the parameter. So if I bring it down here and then I just double left click, it goes right back. You have inverse, where you can inverse the waveform, and you can also reverse it, which I don't get, but whatever, because it's like inverse right here. But I guess if you have a different waveform, it allows you to reverse or play it backwards, I presume. You have free fine tune, which is weird because when we talk about the matrix, you only get control of the pitch, which does this. Let me show you the semitones first. And then you have fine. And then you also have pitch, which, I don't know. It just seems a little redundant, but whatever. You also can change the phase, which comes more apparent to the waveform that you pick. So let's try to find something exotic here. So that's more exotic. So let's mess with the phase. And, if I was to mess with reverse, inverse. Oh, you can see a little bit of a difference, but whatever. Anyways, you have volume, of course. You know what volume does. You know what pitch does, or pan. So you can actually, bring the oscillator left and right, which makes for some exotic sounds. Also, you can add voices. But more importantly, I would like to go back to the sawtooth because this is where you'll see that the quality of this is a really good plugin. So let's go back to one voice. It doesn't stop there. You can mess with the spread them out. And you can also detune them. So people that keep on asking me to make like old school Nitty or Little John sounds, there you go. A lot of it dealt with sawtooths. So anyways, on to the next here. You have mix, where you can mess with everything from the unison voices. You can see that it also has this bracket that lets you know what that means. You can also sync. It's a slight difference in quality there. You also have FMing in this plugin right here as well, which is cool. But you have to engage it, which is not going to sound great if I use that. I'm going to go to a sine wave. Then I'm going to go ahead and turn the voices down a little bit. And we're going to go and mess with FM. And, since it turns on the third oscillator, the third oscillator is modulating the first oscillator. So if you mess with that, then you get some pretty good stuff. So as you can see, a $13 plugin that's doing all this, and makes you wonder about other plugins. So you have also AM, amplitude modulation. And then you also have ring modulation as well. So you have a whole bunch that you can deal with. And what I'm going to do is go back to the sawtooth. And we're going to start talking about the filter section because the sawtooth has a lot of transient. So I'm going to add some more voices here. I'm going to turn down the detune. And now we're going to get to know some things here. All right, so now we're going to go over here and play something. And as promised, I'm going to go over here to the filter section here, and I'm going to turn it on. And you have, you already have cutoff. So let's go ahead and hear this with a cutoff. So if you're already wondering, yes, you can. You have a traditional mod matrix instead of like drag and drop, which is fine because I think most people need to understand how a regular mod matrix is. And there's nothing wrong with drag and drop modulation, but this will teach you more about sound design as well as other types of operations that you will learn if you want to get a little further in music. So anyways, I picked the first LFO because I'm going to use the first LFO, and I'm going to go ahead and map that to the filter. So I'm going to choose filter cut, and you have the amount where if you go all the way to the right, that's positive, all the way to the left, that's negative. So if you have this all the way to the left, that means it will go the opposite direction. It will ascend or descend, but it's not working. That means I had to go over here and turn on the LFO. And as you may have guessed, you can turn sync on and off. So that means if you turn the syncing off, that means it's not mapped to your current BPM. So I'm going to go ahead and map it to my current BPM so I can get access to the time signatures because I want to use that. There we go. And back over here, we'll go back into the LFO in a second here. I want to go ahead and go to this area, back to filters, because you have several filters types that you have. Not a lot. When you click on that, you have your normal peak, notch, high pass, low pass, band pass type deal. There isn't a certain kind like 12 pole, 24 pole. Those matter when you're trying to build a certain type of sound, but deal with it. $13. Anyways, with that, you have resonance. Let's hear the resonance here. It can get annoying just like any other resonance. You also have key tracking, which will distribute the harmonics evenly between the keys here. You also have effects. And you can add that, to the filter to get a harsher sound. So that's actually pretty good. A lot of plugins that cost way more than this don't have that. You also have an envelope where you can apply an amount to, and then you can start adding like attack to it. So it will kick in, the filter will kick in later. Let's go ahead and kill that modulation real quick so I can. Now you can hear it. And, attack, decay, sustain, release. Your typical ADSR as far as your filters go. And you can actually lock some of these so when you go to another preset or something like that, it keeps these parameters. And that can be set as well for the other part we're going to talk about, and that's the reverb. The effects section. And you can apply a filter to it. Of course, with the reverb, if you don't want any of your lower frequencies in there, you can run a low pass filter is what that's saying. Or even a high pass filter, and that sounds really damn good. A damn $13 plugin sounds better than most plugins I paid $200 for. But anyways, other than that, so, you have the reverb as far as an effect, but what really did it for me was the fact that it has lo-fi. And you have another filter section. You have distortion, or things if you want to do some wub wub dubstep stuff, you can do this with this plugin. So that's a really good thing. You can also rearrange your effects too as well. So these are things that you can learn anywhere. But one of the things that puzzled me as far as creating sounds was the fact that I couldn't apply anything to the glide. So boom, so I applied a glide and nothing happens, and that's not how I want this sound to sound like. But I had to go up here to the top part of the GUI and go to Polyporta, and that's where you start getting the glide to kick in. So you also can have this limit. Go ahead and apply that, and I believe that's the limiter, if I'm not mistaken. Let's see. Oh, well, the LFOs. The LFO section is pretty good. Again, if I was to apply that back again, let's go ahead and put it back in poly mode. I'm gonna go over here to the My Matrix, and we're gonna apply less of that in there. Gonna mess with the ADSR. Oh yeah, this is the regular ADSR right here, by the way, which you can lock to as well when you go ahead and switch to other presets if you want to make other presets sound like pads or whatever. And that actually is a simple but remarkable feature, because sometimes you just want to keep your same effects and stuff like that, but you want like a different sound. So that's like for you lazy sound designers out there. The next thing, what were we talking about? Oh, the LFO. The LFO, boom. So here's a ton of different LFOs you have to pick from. And remind you can desync it from the BPM. Syncing means that when it's on like this, that means it's on there. You can also have it free running, and you also can have it mono as well. And you can change the phase of the LFO. You can inverse it, and you can reverse it. And you get 2 LFOs, so no beggars can't be choosy, but it's cool. I mean, that's all you really need when you're doing simple sound design. And you also have another envelope that you can use to apply to anything the way you want. I highly recommend that you do check that out. One of the biggest letdowns for me was the fact that it does not have an arpeggio section. That pissed me the fuck off, and I really hope that they just like get rid of this tuner crap. I mean, the tuner thingy is cool because what it essentially does is it allows you to pick out whatever you want as far as like your tone or the scale, and it's cool. I mean, nothing really against it. Like you can select whatever you want. You can lock it in. The play, you got to change the play mode, of course, to cheat 1 or cheat 2. So what that means is basically that you won't get any bad notes. But I'd much rather have an arpeggio section. God damn, that is the one thing this $13 plugin does not have, and is very aggravating. Even though in Ableton and in FL Studio, you can just play a chord and then make your arps that way. I do have videos on those. So tell me how you feel about this. Leave a comment below. One of the main things that I really like about this is it is a one-page plugin. So that means that you don't have to go through a lot of page travel. I know there are a lot of people out there that don't mind going through different pages for your plugin, but you'll find that a lot of plugins that don't have a lot of page travel are very popular. I mean, Serum being one of those, it's really popular because you don't have to go through the whole My Matrix thing and all that, and a lot of people don't like to do all that routing that way, drag and drop and stuff like that, even though we're talking about Babylon, and Babylon does not have drag and drop modulation, and that's one of the things that I think is a con, as well as the ugly GUI. But the ugly GUI is fine because I don't need a vectoral GUI that looks great on 4K, but it's taking up at least 50% of my damn DSP and my damn DAW. So a real con that I do have for this is the fact that it does not have an arpeggiator module. I think arpeggiator module is way more important than a chord module, even though the scale module is really good for people that really want to have that access. I think we're at a point in music production where most people have a MIDI controller that has built-in scale. So add the ARPs, because a lot of us don't have that. Do I give this the stamp of approval? Even though I bitched about the arpeggios, I still think that this is really good. At least 75% the stamp. Add some damn ARPs.